Hi Lauren, it's Ryan from 2-Minute Tennis, and I couldn't help but notice you working on your game in a recent popular YouTube video. Now, I was watching you hit forehands, and I wanted to give you and your parents and your coaches some thoughts on things that you could do to improve your consistency on that side. Let me put you side by side now with Badosa and show you how you can improve your forehand. Now, Lauren, the first thing I want to say is you're obviously very talented. And I think just a simple tweak on your forehand is going to make a world of difference. I was noticing when any ball came very fast and deep, you would be caught late and you ended up hitting the net often. It's actually probably one of the reasons why you prefer to hit the ball very hard and low over the net. And it's because you actually have trouble getting under the ball. But let me show you this with Badosa. The first thing I want to do is put the two of you in a very similar position. So the two of you right now have your racket and your arms in a very similar position. Now, your racket is slightly open at this point, which means your strings are facing slightly up. Badosa's racket is slightly closed at this point. I am a fan of this position because I feel like it helps keep the swing smaller. Just think Andre Agassi and the way he would hit a forehand. But I want to show you where the two of you go from this position. First, I want to put a line across the top of her shoulder, and I'm going to put a line across the top of your shoulder. Now, those lines are in the exact same position, and if you notice, her hitting hand and your hitting hand, your hitting hand right there, are about the same distance below that line. So we really are comparing apples to apples here. Now, let's look at Badosa's hand movement. So there's the first dot, and then we go to the second dot, and then to the third dot. So from the beginning place where you are, her hand and her racket went down. So she gets into this same position that you're in, and then immediately her hand begins going down. And so does her racket. What that does is it keeps the racket on the hitting side of her body. This is the plane, right? This is 180 degrees back. Her racket never crosses onto this side of that yellow line. She always keeps the racket on the hitting side of her body. That helps her handle depth because when the ball comes in deep and the ball comes fast, she's not late with a swing that goes way back and then has to rush to get back to the contact. She always keeps the racket more on the hitting side of her body. Now, we're going to compare what Badosa did, and I'll just redraw those circles. So again, she's going down as she makes that move from that starting position that I have you in. Now I'm going to draw your hand from this position and look at the direction your hand goes. So your hand is going up and back. Badosa's hand from the same position, remember, this is where the hand was slightly below shoulder level. The two of you have the same hand height, but her hand goes down, your hand goes up. You'll actually notice at this point that your hand is basically from the camera's view at the top of your head. That would mean if Badosa did that, we should see her hand go somewhere close to that yellow circle. Let's see if it does. And it does not. So you're following the red line, she's following the green line. This means she's better able to handle pace from the opponent. What I'm afraid of is that with the size of your backswing and the fact that from this position, rather than going down with the racket in hand, the fact that you're going up with your hand and racket means that you'll either have to stand further back behind the baseline to be able to handle your opponent's depth, or you're just going to simply struggle with the pace and depth of high-level players. All right, let me show you this in front of the camera. Now, Lauren, I was so happy to see that you are working on early racket preparation. Being late is so common with juniors where they'll wait for the ball to bounce on their side of the court, then begin the unit turn. You were working on beginning the unit turn the moment you saw the ball come off your opponent's racket, so that was awesome. Keep doing that. Now, when I put you side by side with Badosa, at the end of your unit turn, the two of you had a nearly identical arm position. You both had the racket slightly higher than your head. Now, your racket was slightly open, her racket was slightly closed. That is an important detail that I would say in the future you should work on. It does help shorten up the swing. But here's the real key. I drew that yellow line. Badosa from here, her hand went down. From that same position, your hand went up. When Badosa was going down, she was doing so to get lower than the ball so she could swing up through contact and get margin for error, right? She would get height over the net, which then produces depth, and depth is the number one way to force an error on your opponent. During the time that Badosa was going down, you were going up behind you, and you can't get that time back. Now the ball's getting close to contact, and you've got to get from here to the ball, where Badosa is here, and she's got to go to the ball. Well, you can see the difference. Your racket has to smack flat into the back, where Badosa was below the ball, and she can swing up through the back, getting easy topspin. I noticed in the video of you hitting forehands that anytime a fast, deep ball came to you, you were rushed, and it was all because you made this movement. Now, Lauren, here's a drill that I would ask you to practice at home. Again, you don't have to listen to anything I'm saying. This is a completely unsolicited video. I just have a passion for teaching, and I saw your video and I saw your forehand, and I just wanted to put this out there. Maybe you'll see it. I think I'll put this out on social media in a couple places, and maybe your family will see this. Maybe someone will tag you when they see this video. But here's a drill that you can practice at home. I want you to do your unit turn. And remember, at this point, you have a very similar arm position as Badosa. What I want you to practice, rather than going up behind you, I want you to practice letting go of your racket. Now, when you let go of it, the racket will start going down. So what I want you to do is, as it drops, chase the racket with your hand and then grab on at the bottom. So it looks like this. You're going to let go and then grab on. So I let go and then I grab on. When I grab on, if you have a Topspin Pro, you can hit the ball from there. So it's do your unit turn, drop the racket, and then grab on, and then hit the ball. It's a silly drill. Yes, it's going from one end of the spectrum to the other, where we actually want to meet in the middle. But I've noticed with players with very large swings, if you have them practice a swing that is ridiculously too small, they kind of end up right in the middle, right? Which is going to be the Badosa size swing. So work on turning, letting go, grabbing on, and then hitting. You can even do this with a coach or a family member. Have them hand feed you a ball. So you'll turn into your Badosa, same position, hand slightly below the shoulder. Then as soon as the ball is fed to you, you can just let go, grab on, and then hit. What you'll notice is you start being early rather than late. And isn't that a wonderful thing? When we see a deep ball and a fast ball coming to us, what we don't want to do is think, I'm going to take a large swing and just do it faster. Because taking the long way, just like taking the long way to school, if you take a really long way to school, it's easy to be late to school. So we don't want a swing that's too big. We want a swing that can handle the pace and the depth of the juniors you're going to eventually play against, because you're not going to be a junior forever. You're going to have these high aspirations. I just want you to have the technique that is going to help you to achieve those aspirations. So, Lauren, I want to thank you for maybe, hopefully, someday watching this video and just give it a try. But I know that going down from the Badosa position rather than going up from that position is without a doubt going to help you gain confidence, win more matches, and play much better tennis. This is Ryan Reedy from 2minutetennis.net. Lauren, you got this.